tonight. In response to the suicide of a Prince George boy from October due to sextortion, the province is taking action with new restrictions on cell phones in schools. Plus, reaction from Mayor Yu about the tiny homes fire from yesterday morning in Moccasin Flats, after stop work notices on a tiny homes project from the city. And UBC researchers and a local MLA are advocating for more sustainable forestry practices and policy, specifically a reduction of clear cutting. Good evening, folks. I'm Eddie Huband, and welcome to CKPG News. Our top story tonight, the BC government took action today to protect children from online threats, including restricting cell phone use in schools and launching a service to remove intimate images from the internet and pursue predators. This all comes in the wake of the death of the 12-year-old Carson Cleland, a Prince George boy who was being extorted online. Adam Burrows has the story and a warning: some of these details may be disturbing to viewers.
The provincial government is taking action to help keep kids and young people safe from online threats, with the Premier announcing 3 steps, including restricting the use of cell phones in schools and launching services to remove images from the internet and to pursue predators.
In addition to the unregulated content that kids can have access to at school, it disrupts the flow of the classroom and it interrupts kids while they're learning, making it difficult for them to get back to where they started.
Joining the Premier for the announcement were Ryan Cleland and Nicola Smith, the parents of 12-year-old Prince George boy Carson Cleland, who took his own life in October.
Carson was contacted on somebody on Snapchat pretending to be a young girl around his age, and they talked him into sending some intimate images online. The second that happened, the conversation took a turn, and they threatened Carson. They wanted gift cards, money, anything, and if he didn't give them, they were going to share his pictures with anybody on his friends list. Carson panicked. Right then he made a snap decision and tried to take his own life. October 13th, we had to make the worst decision any parent has ever had to make. And we had to take Carson off life support.
The Premier said the announcement was not only about taking action, but fulfilling a commitment to the Clelands.
I want to make good on a commitment that I made to Carson's family when we made that first contact, which is that Carson's death would not be in vain, that our government would step up to support the heroic work done by the Clelands to raise awareness about this issue, and we would find ways to support kids to make sure that Carson leaves behind a legacy that will protect kids going into the future.
Ryan and Nicholas said that they hope that another child, young person, or parents will never have to go through something so painful and heart-wrenching.
We stand here today as 2 broken parents trying to do everything to make sure this doesn't happen to another family, to another child, to another person.
If we could offer anything or any advice on the matter, please remember that you are never alone.
Adam Burrows, CKPG News.
Following up on a story from yesterday now, in the aftermath of a tiny home burning down in Moccasin Flats, Tommy Osborne has the reaction from Mayor Simon Yu after the city previously issued a stop work notice during the construction of the tiny homes.
Yesterday at around 5 a.m., one of the volunteer-donated tiny homes burned down in Moccasin Flats. In the early stages of the project, the city of Prince George issued a stop work notice and a do not occupy notice due to safety concerns, with the primary focus being fire safety.
It was not totally surprised because these units were not built with fire protection in mind in terms of fire rating and fire resistance. We are very, very fortunate nobody got hurt.
In the wake of the tiny home burning down, will the city enforce the stop work order they put up on November 10th? For now, Mayor Yu says no, they won't, because he and the city recognizes the need is still here to get people in from the cold, and Mayor Yu says he really appreciates the community volunteers' efforts in building these homes so people have a shelter to stay in. For now, his and the city's main focus is a transitional housing facility, which he says could offer a more permanent and much safer solution.
Once we set up the transitional homes, then we perhaps will enforce the bylaw, able to enforce the bylaw for the entire city.
These transitional homes will provide shelter for 88 people, which at the moment is more than the population of Moccasin Flats. While the initial timeline hoped to get this built before winter at latest, Yu wants to have it ready by summer. In the meantime, the volunteers plan on continuing to build homes, and Yu appreciates their dedication.
Until they see the transitional housing has been set up, the program installed there by the government works. I think if they are just continue their volunteerism and get things done the way they feel, that perhaps that should be the way, to help the people.
As for the volunteers, they're happy to hear the mayor wants to work with them and thanked the city for allowing them to continue housing people. While the transitional housing facility is obviously a huge step by the city to address homelessness, the volunteers hope they can collaborate with the mayor to tackle other issues too.
Obviously, the homes is just one small part of the problem, right? It's also medical care, it's also mental health, it's rehab, and all of those things, those surrounding services that come with homelessness.
For now, the city is expected to let the tiny home project go uninterrupted while it focuses on getting the transitional housing facility built as soon as possible. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
BC Premier David Eby has rebuffed the province's retiring chief coroner's swan song pleas for non-prescription safe supply of drugs, calling it, quote, a fundamental issue of disagreement on how to curb the toxic drug crisis. Lisa Lapointe says there were 2,511 suspected illicit drug deaths last year, the highest annual death toll ever recorded. She says asking doctors to prescribe a safer supply of drugs would not address the crisis. Eby says he appreciates Lapointe for her important work, but he doesn't believe that the distribution of incredibly toxic opioid drugs without the supervision of a medical professional in BC is a way out of the toxic drug crisis. Researchers at the University of BC are advocating for more sustainable forest practices and policy, saying that current practices and policy are unsound and poorly informed. And one local MLA has seen the impacts of what our forest practices are doing firsthand. Adam Burrows reports.
It's time to rethink forestry practices and policy, according to researchers at UBC. They looked at past hydrology studies and found that many severely and consistently underestimated the impact of forest cover on flood risks, therefore leading to poorly informed forest management policies and practices.
The outcomes of that literature is actually flawed. As a matter of fact, it underestimates a great deal the effect of the logging on floods.
Dr. Eunice Alila and his colleague Henry Pham found that clear-cut logging is causing major problems for people and ecosystems and will continue to do so unless practices are changed.
The forest management policies in the form of clear cutting we've been doing for many decades and counting is actually a major source of an increase in flood risk in the downstream areas. The sort of clear-cut logging that we've been conducted for many decades is going to cause a lot of damage in the form of floods and droughts and landslides for decades to come on British Columbia.
MLA Mike Morris has seen firsthand the impacts of clear-cut logging.
Over the years, I've seen the impact of the loss of the forest canopy, on the hydrological impacts on the land base, the deep ruts, the amount of snow that melts so quickly in the spring and then dries out the land base over the summer months, and of course that leads to an increased fire risk.
Morris says that based on this new information, new policies and practices need to be adopted, and that the forestry industry will also need to adjust.
They need to adapt to this new way of doing business and construct their operational plans considering this moving forward.
Eunice Alila says that if practices and policies aren't changed soon, the change may never arrive, putting communities at risk.
It will never be done if it's not done now. If we're not motivated by this fact to take a harder look at our policies and regulations associated with forestry and water management, I don't know when it would be, if it would ever be done.
Adam Burrows, CKPG News.
The College of New Caledonia's chef instructor, Mandy Newcomb, was recognized by a prestigious global organization for her contributions in the culinary world. Tommy Osborne has more on Newcomb's impact that she has on students.
She really pushes us to be our best, and we've all grown so much together. We keep talking about where we started off, and it's just amazing how far we've come so far.
That was Sophia Franks, one of many culinary students at the College of New Caledonia, learning under chef instructor Mandy Newcomb. Newcomb has been an instructor for 12 years, and for her exceptional work in advancing women in the food, beverage, and hospitality industry, she was recognized by the prestigious global organizations Les Dames d'Escoffier. Newcomb says she's humbled and honored to be part of the group, which has 2,600 women worldwide.
We really want to inspire, advance, and support females in industry. It's basically a sisterhood of all of us women in, as again I said, food, beverage, hospitality, wine, etc. And we want to foster growth, mentorship, networking, etc.
While she's honored to receive such prestigious recognition, she says being an instructor and chef is its own reward.
It really warms my heart when I see the students, especially the ones who are perhaps struggling at the beginning in level 1 in August, and then comes around and the tables turn, and then they really can shine when they find something that they're good at. I like entertaining our guests here at the college as well, not just personally. And I think that's what keeps me coming back every day. Like we talked about, I love teaching other people, but I love being creative for our guests and the students.
The passion Newcomb has for cooking is definitely felt by her students, who say she's created an incredible learning atmosphere that feels like a home away from home.
She's amazing. She's so supportive, and yeah, she can be hard on us a lot, but that's just the push we need to get through, and that's what's going to make us succeed in life. There's a lot of mental and physical draining that goes into it, and it takes a certain type of person to do that. Not everyone can, and having a strong female doing it is just so inspiring.
Newcomb and her students will be hard at work preparing to reopen CNC's restaurant, the Kodiak, in March. You can visit then to get a taste of the great work they're doing. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
Good evening, everybody, and happy Friday. We're going into the weekend with lots of precipitation to talk about, but the good news is very mild temperatures taking over the entire province. So we are going to see temperatures very close to, if not exceeding, records that have already been posted. So we'll keep an eye on that over the next few days. And this goes right into next week as well. So an extremely mild pattern right across the entire province. We do have showers, though, and even periods of rain. A series of systems. There's about 3 systems that we're watching, and 2 in particular that will be kind of more hitting toward our area of the province. The third one's more so the south coast that will get the bulk of it. But with it, we do have a chance of showers and into our Saturday, and even rain again tomorrow night. So rain in the forecast for our Friday night, by the way, as well. And that will switch over to showers as we move into the overnight period. Prince George, Quesnel, our air quality was good there. And Vanderhoof, the reading today, fair. Snapshot of the day, Janie Landry. Thank you so much for this one. This is a great picture taken while Janie was out on a walk just along the Nechako River. Beautiful. I believe Janie took this January 14th. And then since then, of course, the river a little more frozen over than what we see here. But with the mild temperatures that we're going back into, yeah, things could change quickly. Beautiful blue sky. Looks like a great day for a walk, Janie. Thank you for that. Snapshot at ckpg.com. Email us if you have any photos. Find us on social media, and I'll have your weekend weather forecast later on in the show.
Okay, Tanya, we will check back in later on in the show to hear about that weekend weather forecast. Looks like things are certainly warming up. Very interesting. But for now, the Central BC Railway and Forestry Museum is about to launch a new exhibit. This exhibit will be in place tomorrow through March 23rd in the arts space at the museum. It'll be open to the public free of charge. It's called Joined by the Brush, and it's a group of artists from the Northern BC Artist Group, and it is a self-juried display.
So Joined by the Brush is the group consisting of about 20 to 30 artists in northern BC. We have about 15 of the artists in the group represented in this show. We decided to do a self-titled name. Joined by the Brush is of artists that work in all mediums coming together to share their works.
The Regional District of Fraser-Fort George has launched its budget process just as the City of Prince George has wrapped it up. But the two systems are vastly different. Cheryl Jan explains why.
The City of Prince George has just wrapped up its budget. It's relatively simple, operating and capital. The Regional District of Fraser-Fort George's budget, however, is vastly different, with 3 tiers, starting with a more universal tier.
Things like solid waste and 911, and everybody benefits from those. And then we have a set of services that are called sub-regional, and that's usually rural areas. Sometimes it includes the smaller municipalities. And those are services like planning for the rural areas or building inspection in the rural areas. And then we have local service areas, which are things like volunteer fire departments and basically only the people within the boundaries of that fire department will pay for that service.
With Prince George holding the lion's share of the population in the regional district, it makes up a larger portion of the regional district's budget.
They do anticipate that every dollar that the regional district collects, 70 cents last budget cycle was from the city of Prince George, and with assessed values, that just drops just slightly to 69 cents on every dollar collected being from the city of Prince George.
The regional district has a net operating requirement of just over $45 million, and the various areas will see various different tax levies when the dust settles.
Each area assessments were a little different. It was a little down in Prince George, so I think they only went up about 2%. And yet up in Area G, because of the pipeline work, the assessment, was significantly higher than it was last year. So the overall assessments also determine how much any individual person will pay, depending on which services they pay into.
Much as there is a waterbedding effect in forestry, there is something similar in place between the various areas of the regional district.
Where Area G has a larger assessment this year, they will contribute a little bit more to those region-wide budgets than Prince George, whose assessment went down a little bit from last year.
34% of the regional district's expenditures come from taxation. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
This week on Entertainment Spotlight, it's a live-action remake of a classic kids cult cartoon from the mid-2000s, Avatar: The Last Airbender, starring Gordon Cormier, Kiawentio Tarbell, and Dallas James Liu. If you've never heard of Avatar: The Last Airbender, let me tell you, this is honestly one of the most popular shows ever made for youths that were growing up from the 2000s to 2010. So a live-action remake is ambitious, but it could have an awesome payoff if it's done right. The plot centers around young airbender Aang, the Avatar, who wakes up after being frozen in a block of ice for 100 years to find that the world he once knew has descended into war and chaos, with the Fire Nation invading all the other nations and killing all the remaining airbenders.
I'm not someone who can stop the Fire Nation. I don't want the responsibility.
Now, as the last of his kind, it's up to Aang, along with his ragtag team of friends, to defeat the Fire Nation, end the war, and restore balance and peace to the world.
The world needs you. Remember what it is we're really fighting for.
I know, it sounds a little bit crazy, but trust me, if this new series is anything like the original, it'll have some amazing action scenes, a big heart, and some of the best character development you're ever going to see.
The ones we love.
I'm the Avatar, and I'm gonna save the world. With my friends.
Season 1 of the new Avatar: The Last Airbender live-action series comes out on February 22nd, exclusively on Netflix. As of this morning, the lowest gas price in Prince George was sitting at $1.42.9 a liter at Costco. The lowest price in the province as of this morning was in Williams Lake at $1.38.9 per liter. Manitoba currently has the lowest fuel prices on average in the country at $1.21.5 per liter, while BC has an average price of $1.60.1 per liter.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Feed your team tonight with a delicious mix and match combo. Chicken, pizza, pasta, or dessert for just $8.99 per item.
The Prince George Cougars sit second in the Western Conference as we move into the final portion of the WHL season. And they have a huge weekend ahead, heading off on a 5-game road trip, 4 of which are down in the States. Let's just focus on this weekend, and it's a doozy for the Cats. 3 games in 3 nights, starting this evening against the Spokane Chiefs. Then tomorrow they take on the Tri-City Americans. Now, both of those games are winnable as those two teams sit 9th and 8th in the conference respectively. Things do get a little bit tougher on Sunday, though, as the Cats will finish up the weekend in Wenatchee, taking on the 4th place Wild. 3 games in 3 nights, that's a tough test, but only adding to the pressure. This road trip is without a doubt the most important so far this season, as the Cougars need every point they can get in a tight race for that #1 seed. Here in town, the Prince George Spruce Kings also have a tough matchup tonight, taking on the Salmon Arms Silverbacks as they look to climb the BCHL standings. Caitlin Pobersnick caught up with the voice of the team, Jack Clark, to preview tonight's game.
I'm here with Jack Clark ahead of the Spruce Kings game tonight against Salmon Arm. We're at Copar Memorial Arena, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the fact that you guys haven't been on the ice for a very long time. It feels like lots of practices, but first time in 2 weeks that you guys have actually hit the ice.
Yeah, almost 2 weeks, 12 days since we lost back in trail. So, that's a lot of time for these guys to think about that game in trail, and it's been a lot of practices since then. Practicing's great. It's how you get better, but, playing sports, that you actually want to play the game. So I know the guys are really excited for the back-to-back here this weekend.
Now, somebody that hasn't been on the ice for you guys for a while, Jared Paradion, he is actually back from injury, it sounds like, but you've also lost Lyndon McCow. So it's kind of a trade-off here for you guys tonight.
Yeah, it's tough to always lose players, but it's nice to get players back. Injuries have been a problem for us all year long, mostly on the back end. But Lyndon McCow dealing with a lower body injury now. But like you mentioned, we're getting J.R. Paradion back, a 20-year-old from Ohio that was great for us prior to kind of dealing with that lower body injury. He's got 14 points on the year. He's a goal scorer. He plays on the power play. He does everything right. I know head coach Alex Evans really excited to have him back, but as you mentioned, really unfortunate. Lyndon McCow, one of the top point scorers on this team, 11 goals, 11 assists, 24 points. Whenever you lose that kind of production in the lineup, it's always going to hurt.
Now, I've been talking to a lot of the guys, even Coach Al, about the fact that, haven't had a weekend sweep yet. This is kind of the weekend that you guys are hoping to win tonight, win for Chuck Chin, as a lot of them have been saying, but also to pull through tomorrow. What are your thoughts on the fact that, the boys are actually in it, they're wanting to win today?
Yeah, it's, of course you want to win every game, but you're right, we haven't had a weekend sweep yet this season. It's an interesting time. Salmon Arm played on Wednesday, had to make the trip up to Prince George. Of course, we know that bus ride is long, and then a back-to-back this weekend as well. You mentioned everything that's going on tonight for Chuck Chin, so maybe a little bit of extra motivation for the team tonight, and yeah, always looking for a weekend sweep, so hopefully this is the weekend.
Well, again, puck drops at 7, and we'll be back later on to talk to Kyle Anderson. But for now, thank you, Jack, for joining us, and we'll be back in a little bit. Back to you in the studio, though, Eddie.
And on top of the hockey action happening this weekend, the UNBC Timberwolves basketball teams are on the road in Kamloops. Both the men's and women's teams face off against the TRU Wolfpack on their 2-day venture. The men's T-Wolves team actually got their first game out of the way earlier today with a 12 o'clock start, and it was a nail-biter, but UNBC came out on top with a 69-67 big win. If they can pull off the weekend sweep, they'll be closer to bumping themselves a little bit up from the middle of the Canada West standings. The women's team, meanwhile, doesn't take the court until 7:30 tonight. As for the women's team, their main goal is, according to second-year Amrit Manak, to play a whole 40 minutes together as a team.
I think the last game was a big milestone for us. I know it wasn't the result we wanted, but I thought we worked as a cohesive group for a full 40 minutes, which is what we've really been trying to do with the newer group, and missing some people due to injuries. That was the big thing for us. I think going to this weekend, we have to build off of what that was, the last game, and just focus on our principles a bit more, make sure we stay disciplined, and those are going to be key factors for us.
The TSX is up 24 points to close at 21,125. The Dow Jones is up 60 points to close at 38,109. And CN Rail went down 2 cents to close at $166.65.
Good evening again, everyone. We've got rain to talk about and showers to talk about. Very wet weather all in all right across BC. This is our satellite clouds, the chances of showers today. We'll switch over now to the first system that's really pushing in. And so that will bring us rain tonight and then getting back into a chance of showers overnight. We have some gusty southeast winds as well, gusting up to about 40 kilometers an hour as we move into the evening and into early tomorrow as well. So the future cast, there's a lot going on, lots of action happening across across the province. It's a series of different systems that is going to bring some precipitation to pretty much everywhere. So again, tonight we do have the rain in the forecast, then showers, chance of showers for our Saturday, rain again Saturday night. Sunday actually looks like a day where we could have a little bit more of a break, but still leaving some showers or possible showers in the forecast there. So again, because it's not one big organized system and instead it's a series of different systems, there will be breaks throughout the day and throughout the evening hours. Highs tomorrow across the province look like this. We're very mild here in Prince George, 5 degrees. Again, I mentioned the chance of showers and then showers changing to rain later into the evening. Very mild up in the Peace, 5 degrees in Kamloops, a mix of sun and cloud there, but everybody's expecting to see some showers on and off. Wet weather, especially down through the south coast, and then not as wet up through the north coast, but still steady rain for the most part. Very mild though, 8 degrees there, 11 down through the south coast. So these are the temperatures we are well above average for this time of the year. And again, we'll watch the records because we could be close to, if not exceeding some of those records that have already been set. 5 degrees, as I mentioned, for us, 7 in Quesnel, so even milder south of us. Fort St. James and Mackenzie, a little bit cooler, but not by much. Fort St. James sitting at 2. 5 degrees in Edmonton. We're dry through Edmonton and through parts of the prairies, although a little bit foggy, especially early half of the day in Winnipeg. Montreal will sit under clouds, and the same down through Toronto. Looking ahead, it's a mixed bag of weather for early next week, but look at all the mild air that's pushing up from the south. You can see our jet stream is now pushing further north, and we are allowing some of that air to kind of hang around right into early next week. And in fact, temperatures actually strengthen going into next week. 6 degrees by Monday for Burns Lake, but you've got clouds and showers the next couple of days. Some bright spots on Sunday, 4 degrees the high. 2 degrees overnight tonight in Mackenzie. We're looking at clouds and rain for the most part. It'll taper off through the overnight period, and then a chance of showers on and off through the day. Mostly cloudy and mild though into your Sunday, and even milder on Monday. McBride -6 tonight. Little bit of that mixed precipitation or even some light snowfall, but that's pretty much it going into your weekend. It looks actually quite dry, relatively dry compared to the rest of the region. Quesnel, early rain tonight, and then starting to see it taper off a little bit, and a very slight chance of showers through the afternoon. It'll be mostly a cloudy day. We've got maybe a sunny break or two on Sunday. 8 and 9 degrees for Sunday, Monday, and we are going to see those temperatures really bump up. Look at Monday, 9 degrees, although it will be breezy out there. It will be windy on Monday, and again, we do still have those southeast winds tonight and tomorrow, and quite wet. Rain at times tonight, switching over to showers overnight. Chance through the day tomorrow of showers, and then back to more rain tomorrow night. Sunday looks like our better day, possibly a break in the clouds.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Feed your team tonight with a delicious mix and match combo. Chicken, pizza, pasta, or dessert for just $8.99 per item.
There's lots happening at the Spruce Kings game tonight, including a shoot to win contest. Caitlin Pobersnick caught up with Kyle Anderson to chat about the event and some of the other things the Kings have up their sleeve for tonight's game.
We're here at Copar Memorial Arena with Kyle Anderson, the business operations manager of the Spruce Kings. And let's get right into it. Tonight is a big game, shoot to win. What does that mean for a fan?
So anyone 19 plus is going to get an entry form when they walk in the door. We're going to draw that name halfway through the first period. And one fan's going to get a chance to shoot for a Volkswagen Tiguan 2024. And it's going to be, it's valued at $45,000. So it's a very big night, a very big opportunity for someone. And it's really exciting to see.
Has anybody ever actually gotten it before?
So I think we did 1 or 2 last year. We haven't seen anyone come real close, but you know, maybe tonight's the night. You know, it's a special night here anyway, and it's always fun when we have these kinds of promotions. And I can't thank the sponsors enough. You know, Hub City Volkswagen and Brown Ridge Insurance have been so good to deal with and work with on this. So we're really looking forward to it.
Now, you said that it was already a special night tonight. I know that your 50-50 is going to something a little bit different. Do you just kind of want to touch on what exactly it's going to and why you guys are doing it?
Yeah, so all 50-50 proceeds tonight are going to the Chuck Chin Legacy Fund that was set up by the Prince George Community Foundation. And, you know, this is going to be an emotional night, I think, for everyone in our organization a bit and our fans. And, you know, Chuck was here for basically every night, so not having him in the building is going to be tough. But we're really happy that the Prince George Community Foundation has started this legacy fund, and this is what we can do in a small part to donate the 50-50 proceeds tonight.
Now I know it's going to be a really fun night. It's supposed to be pretty jam-packed. How many tickets around? How many tickets have you guys sold already?
Yeah, so we're already over 1,000 for tonight. You know, we expect the walk-ups to be big. Again, get here early. We're going to have the pregame ceremony start right at 7 o'clock, so make sure you're in. It's not going to be too long, so make sure you're in and ready to go by 7.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Kyle. Puck drops again, 7 o'clock, like you said, against Salmon Arm, and I'll send it back to you guys in the studio there, Eddie.
And prior to tomorrow's Spruce Kings game, Copar Memorial will be packed full of firefighters and RCMP officers, but don't worry, it's all for the right reasons. They're hosting the second annual Sirens Cup charity event, where the two sides go head-to-head on the ice. The two charities involved in the event this year are the Cops for Cancer Toward the North, which is for pediatric cancer research, and the Prince George Firefighters Charitable Society. Last year in the Sirens Cup, the firefighters won, making this time around a big deal for the RCMP, and they changed a few things up on their team for this year's game, and they seem like they're ready to go.
Our roster is looking really good. I don't want to give away any of our secrets because we are definitely trying to bring our competitive edge this year. So hopefully, getting a couple of new faces on the team, shaking up the line a little bit, we can secure a success for the RCMP.
We would like to win, but I know that they have a very motivated roster and looking to exact some revenge from last year. But I have confidence in our group. I think we're set and ready to go.
I heard Corporal Jan Cooper has got some wheels on the ice, so I'm going to go with the RCMP. All right, in honor of the Spruce Kings shoot to win tonight, we figured we'd dedicate CKP3 to the best shootout wins that you're going to see.
Let's start things off with a Habs fan winning $50,000.
Est-ce que vous êtes prêts, tout le monde? Concentration. À toi, mon Pat. Oh my God! Oh my God! Mesdames et messieurs! Oh mon Dieu!
Getting the puck through the tiny hole is impressive enough, but doing it in the dark as well, that's a whole other beast. Let's follow this up with Bliss Ward shooting a half-court shot for free beer for a year. At halftime of the Edmonton Stingers game, Ward made a shot in front of a sold-out crowd, and it went viral. Let's end things off with one of the most famous shoot-to-wins.
The longest sky hook in American Airlines arena history, and maybe the greatest hug takedown. Oh man, rarely would you see a contest.
LeBron tackles the Heat fan after making his one-handed hook shot to win $75,000. But I'm pretty sure he'll remember LeBron James the most. This takes top spot in tonight's CKP3.
Hello from the CKPG Today side. Got a great one to finish out the week over here. Of course, today's a great day to be in Prince George, the kickoff of Kiwanis Ale Fest. And boy, it's one of my favorite events of the year because I love beer, more in the lighter ones myself, not the dark ones, but I'll drink them anyways. I'm not going to complain. Today we'll go behind the scenes with Slaughterhouse Craft. It's one of the breweries taking part in it this year, a small Prince George startup. So we're going to meet the folks behind that on the show today, but I'll throw it back over to you. Are you excited for Ale Fest? What kind of beer is your favorite? I'm assuming you're like an IPA guy or something over there.
You know, I do like craft beers, but you know what? I'm a simple man. Give me a nice Labatt 50 and on a hot summer day, and I'm good to go, Mr. Fanshaw. But I am looking forward to that. That's going to be a great event. Folks, that wraps things up tonight. Thanks for joining us as always. And your last look is a cool one. It's a model train in action down at the Forestry and Railway Museum. We did it, folks. We made it through another week. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on Monday. So long.